Welcome to Share Talk, the only podcast where investors come first.
Today we have Mitchell Smith, the CEO of Global Energy Metals, which is a company that's focused on cobalt assets with a number of projects around the world. Firstly, hi Mitchell, how are you?
Hi, good. How about yourself?
I'm not too bad, thank you. For listeners that are not familiar with your company, can you just give us a brief summary?
Certainly. So Global Energy Metals is listed on the TSX Venture Exchange. Our ticker symbol is GEMC. Our company offers investment exposure to the growing rechargeable battery and electric vehicle market. And we're doing that through the acquisition and development of a diversified portfolio of cobalt assets, both exploration and growth stage projects in safe top-tier mining jurisdictions.
Well, we'll get on to the recent one, which is in Nevada. But before that, would you say the EV revolution is amongst us right now?
For sure. I mean, I think there's no question that the world has certainly adopted the concept behind electric vehicles. And you know, we've seen the numbers that are just staggering in terms of this explosive growth pattern of those adoption rates of EVs, whether those be electric cars or scooters or bikes or trucks. It's showing that the world is moving forward with electrification of vehicles. And you know what that translates to is the necessity for the raw materials that go in it, like cobalt, especially into the batteries, for this electric revolution to continue.
Okay, and how do you think that appears for the outlook for cobalt in 2019 and looking forward?
Yeah, so you know the global mining industry, it really reached an inflection point at the end of last year and early into this. That being said, I mean the fundamentals for the energy metals like cobalt have continued to grow, and the fundamentals are there, and they're in a position to strengthen moving forward. There's no doubt that there's been a pullback in the price in cobalt. Perhaps not unexpectedly, given it did have a very strong 18-month run, and really that run was because of its the production rates could not keep up to the demand, most of that being brought on by the battery space, and so prices really jumped. But with the additional supply that came on from the DRC, you know the prices have settled back down. Albeit still being you know, relatively high in the history of cobalt pricing, but with the DRC, there's challenges within that of its own, and we saw that with Katanga's Komoda mine earlier later last year in terms of having to shut down production because of uranium contamination, and that immediately brought the cobalt back into a deficit. So you know, for us, we believe that moving forward, and with the incredible pace of electric vehicle adoption, that it's going to push this demand for cobalt, and will start to push the limits of cobalt production. What does that mean? It means an upward pressure on prices. It means that there's a recognition for new supply from outside of the DRC must come online to be able to meet this growing demand, and that translates into capital going back into the development of good projects like our Millennium Cobalt project in Australia.
Okay, it sounds promising for cobalt. But what about the story on the reduction of cobalt in the iron lithium batteries? Is that something investors should be wary of?
Wary, yes, but you know we believe that the rumors of the death of cobalt, as it's been touted, is greatly exaggerated. With the exception of Tesla, the entire auto industry has settled on the battery chemistry of NMC batteries, which contain a high content in cobalt. And although this battery reduction can, because of cost savings, these batteries are proven, and there's been a legacy of industry input and safety and meeting requirements with these chemistries. We believe that the glacial pace of development and testing and the approval cycles for the new battery types will mean that the current chemistries or some variation will continue to dominate for the next 10 years. Even with the most ambitious reduction of cobalt, we're still looking at a tripling of cobalt production from last year to meet the growing demand from EVs alone. And of course, batteries are only half of the demand side from cobalt.
Okay, so that should ease a few concerns that some people might have had. How is the company now positioning itself to take advantage of the EV revolution?
So Global Energy, we've been involved within the cobalt space for a number of years, and really we've been able to witness this growth in the electric vehicle space, and we saw that coming, and in doing so we were able to identify and acquire cobalt projects that have the ability to supply cobalt material, battery grade cobalt material. We believe that the future of cobalt is obviously very, very strong, and so you need to have assets that can provide the material within this cycle, within these next 10 years. Millennium, obviously our flagship asset, is a fantastic primary cobalt project with both copper and gold credit to it. The infrastructure in the Mount Isa, Queensland region is second to none, and it offers a low-cost way to provide future cobalt supply to the growing EV market. We're also just announced the acquisition of two earlier stage projects that have a great deal of potential in Nevada, 150 kilometers away from the Tesla Gigafactory. So in very, very strategic location to have two primary cobalt projects.
Speaking of Millennium, have you got any updates on progress there?
Yeah, there's a lot happening in terms of we announced late last year the signing of a definitive agreement with our partners Hammer Metals to acquire the project outright. That was on the basis of some exceptional work campaign that we did earlier in 2018. We're acquiring that project. We're in the final process now. We have received conditional approval from the TSX Venture Exchange. There's a last couple T's to cross and I's to dot, but we do expect to be able to finalize on that in the very, very near future. With that will come a new technical report that restates the previous JORC resource. Looking forward, once that acquisition finalizes, we'd very much like to further explore the project, increase the resource. There was a number of targets that we identified from last year's work program that we believe will enable us to significantly increase the resource size. With that, we will update the technical report and move forward with economic studies on the project in order to understand it and bring it to a production decision.
Good to hear. Last question, and that's going to be Nevada deal. Can you go into that a bit more? What was the company's recent agreement?
Certainly. So, again, we saw an opportunity to be able to strategically place ourselves in one of the best mining districts in the United States, being in Nevada. The project is drill ready. There was permits in place. targets have been identified, and the high grade nature of the project really attracted us to it. And I think in addition to that, Nevada is really the right place at the right time right now. There's obviously a lot of infrastructure in that area. There's a lot of existing mines and a lot of upside opportunity. This project, the two projects that we've acquired, cover a great deal of land, and it has an opportunity to further explore that region and that system to build a much larger cobalt presence in that area.
Yeah, it's certainly quite a good place logistically and infrastructure-wise. I've been to Nevada a few times, so I can understand what you mean, rather than other countries in the world with getting access to the cobalt there.
For sure. I mean, I think location, and it's certainly very, very true in this case. And and we did this deal and made it a low-cost entry point for our company and our shareholders, with a lot of upside opportunity, and we believe there's something worth pursuing with these Nevada assets.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, well, thank you for taking the time, Mitchell, to speak to us, and we look forward to hearing in the future how you're getting on.
Excellent. Thank you very much, and certainly look forward to updating you as we hit future milestones along the way.
Thank you for listening. Remember to visit our website for more news and other podcasts at www.share-talk.com.